2, 1, live. Jake, tell me about Cinque Terre and Italian coffee. I'm really curious about it.
All I was going to say,
NFT, let's talk about serious stuff here.
Cinque Terre is a beautiful place if you ever get the chance to go. But I actually don't have any caffeine at all. So I don't drink coffee. I don't eat chocolate. I am completely caffeine free. I think I have more energy without it. So I just don't do it. Yeah. Wow. It tastes great though. I miss it. I know Italian coffee is beautiful, but
it's interesting. I'm trying also sometimes to decaf myself, but I don't know. Then I always go back. It's like the Italian gene that it goes back, or like pasta. I went to Marrakesh recently with my wife and kids, and we went into like a restaurant, original Marrakeshi Moroccan restaurant, and everyone eating tagine, all of the food there. And then I saw in the menu spaghetti alle vongole, which is like pasta with clams or something like that.
Making me hungry. It's only 9 a.m. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I couldn't resist. So I ordered pasta, and my wife said, "Oh man, you are a classic Italian." Yeah. Sorry, but I mean it is true. And but I'm very curious about everything that is going on in NFT land, in Web3 world, and every day that there are so many news. Jake, I was checking the news today, and apart from inflation in US, that is.
Did that get announced? By the way, I know there was.
Yeah, it did. Announced. So it's 8.5%. It's the highest inflation in US in the last 40 years. Sorry, Jake, to deliver the notice, but that's the news, and which is incredible. Do you think it will have an impact on Bitcoin or on NFT as an asset? Is something that you think will have an impact or not?
Well, I think it probably will. At first, people may get scared. But and it gets scared, of the inflation and think that it should affect cryptocurrency as well. But long term, I really don't. And the reason is, I think Bitcoin still to this day, and obviously NFA, do your own research, but Bitcoin to this day, I think is really the most underpriced asset we could possibly have. And the reason for that, because I think people look at it and they see, $60,000 or 50 or 40,000, whatever it is, 40,000 now, a Bitcoin. They say it's so expensive for one Bitcoin. But the thing is that Bitcoin's market cap is only $1 trillion, whereas gold's market cap is $12 trillion. And when you look at the next generation, not only are they not going to be buying gold, but gold it's really not a great storage of value, right? It's hard to transfer. It's not infinitely or almost infinitely divisible. There could be more of it on other planets. We really just don't know. And so I think that Bitcoin will surpass gold in our lifetime in terms of market cap is really, to me, a very obvious and certain next step for cryptocurrency. And if that's the case, you're looking at a 12x from here, even at the $40,000 mark. And so I think that we have a long way to go in terms of what's possible for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, even when you just compare it to traditional storage of value like gold.
And the adoption is so incredible. I just finished to watch all the Bitcoin conference videos, and someone was joking on Twitter saying, stop doing conference about Bitcoin, the price goes always down after. But the truth is that the adoption is incredible. And there is, I think, $500 trillion of wealth in the world. So a percentage will go into Bitcoin. But apart from that, I was telling you, so many news about NFTs, investments, and so on. And I was wondering first, to start this conversation, what's your media diet? How do you digest information? How you keep updated?
My goodness.
Which ones are your source of information? Because there are also so many scams. I'm so scared to click links now. I cannot click links anymore. Right. My wife sent me a link the other day on WhatsApp, and I asked her, "Did you send me a link?" And she said, "Yes." Are you sure? It was, it's impossible to live like that. But anyway, yes. What's your media diet?
Where we left off is you were asking about my media diet, and I think people are afraid to consume in a public forum sometimes these days because you don't know what the algorithm is feeding you, and obviously it's the agenda of the big tech companies. So I've been blessed where I'm in various groups with my friends or people that I trust in the space that have really moved the space forward. And yes, in some ways, it is a bit of an echo chamber. But in other ways, if there's some important piece of information, I feel like it makes it into those chats. And it's nice because you're not just getting just the news, right? You're also getting people's like opinions, and you're also able to actually chat with your friends at the same time. So that's pretty much where I get it. There's still like a few newsletters that make their way to me in the morning, like Morning Brew, or like Titan Finance has like something that gets sent out to me. And, you know, even there's this other newsletter called Future Party. Like sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. I'm not religious with that stuff anymore, but as I used to be, because I'm so busy building, you know, what I'm building. But no, I think that, yeah, it's figuring out your media diet is something to think about these days. That's for sure.
Definitely. Before going into Metalink, which is very, very interesting, I was curious about your background. I mean, where are you coming from? What did you do before? What did you study, first of all?
Yeah. So I guess I always studied entrepreneurship, whether that's where I went to, you know, I went to college for entrepreneurship, but even I started my first business when I was 13 years old.
Wow.
And so I've been, you know, I'm 33, but I've had 20 years of running my own business experience. And so
what did you sell at 13?
Oh my God. I used to chase athletes and celebrities outside their hotels, get their autographs and sell them on eBay. You know, it was before the GoPro was invented. We would like tape our cameras to our head and like go film ourselves, like chasing LeBron James or, you know, and get these guys autographs, and then we would sell them. If they would ask us to what we were doing with them, usually I'd be like, yeah, I'm selling, I'm trying to pay for college. I'm selling it.
Got it. Wow. Fantastic. Very ingenious. Okay. And then where did you go after that?
Well, I realized that if I could be well off being a little paparazzi and, you know, make more money than my teachers were making, I could probably be financially successful doing anything. And so I started to think, like, what was it that I really wanted to do? And I realized this was kind of during the dawn of social media. And I realized I really wanted to have a voice, and a voice was important. And it wasn't just about making money. It was actually about being able to influence people along the lines of things you believe, and being able to create movements and create community. That was always really important to me. And so somewhere in my twisted 19-year-old brain, I decided the best way to do that was by becoming a rapper. So I became a rapper, and then I transitioned into managing managing all sorts of recording artists, but originally female DJs. The only thing worse than telling my parents that I was going to be a rapper was that I was going to manage female DJs for a living. People thought I was crazy. And, you know, at the time, I think they had like negative $24 in their bank account. They were washing their hair with laundry detergent because they couldn't afford shampoo. And it was very, you know, people thought we were nuts because there was no examples of female DJs taking over the world. They go by Cruella, and they wound up getting really successful. The girls have a really robust and genius vision. And we had, you know, a couple top 40 records, Vegas residencies. It was really an awesome time in all of our lives. And then from there, at some point, I realized that human beings don't scale. So I was in the music management business. We had gotten the platinum plaques. We got the Grammy Awards. I'd been blessed to make some of those like lists that people aspire to make. And, you know, you kind of realize though that tech scales, human beings don't. And so I thought, okay, you know, what can I do in that space? And I remember flying out to speak at Spotify's 10th anniversary and thinking, wow, now this is special. The new rock stars felt like they were in tech. And so at that point, I kind of made a conscious decision to try to figure out how to pivot. And my next project was actually a company, you know, we use the word community in NFTs and in crypto. My next project was actually community.com. So we went and built like a MailChimp for text messaging and launched phone numbers for all sorts of celebrities, J-Lo, the Chainsmokers, Barack Obama, Weight Watchers, White Claw, People Magazine, where basically they could stay in touch with their fans and reach their followers instantly and directly via text message. So that was sort of everything leading up to this point, what I've been working on.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know about that you were in community.com. Was community.com and another service that they were like Superphone or something like that were competing?
Oh, wow. You're going way back.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say that they were I wouldn't say they were competitive, you know.
Or
they were competitive. Don't get me wrong.
Maybe they were not.
Leslie's vision was incredible. He's a genius, and his vision was incredible. But he never really made the direct deals with the carriers to enable that much traffic. So we became the first company that did deals with AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile to enable 1 million texts to be sent from one 10-digit phone number in under 5 minutes. And that was sort of what allowed it to really scale. I think in 18 months, I think we had 27 million users. It started to scale pretty quickly. We raised $9 million. It was incredible. Yeah.
I was checking. I was trying to find a service for my community, and then I saw. I think Gary V use. Gary V was using community.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Of course.
giving out and then I gave up basically with the tax. I said, all right, I want maybe because it was not available in Europe or something like that. And then
it has had trouble. Not trouble. It's just a young company. Scaling globally has been a challenge.
That's one problem, Jake, that I see living in UK, or before 40 years I lived in Italy. So many fantastic platforms or features of famous platforms. I don't know, Instagram feature or Twitter Blue, or they arrive 1 year later in Europe. So you have a 1 year gap. That is incredible in this world. So
trying to hold you back, Monty.
Yeah. But even in UK, so I moved to UK, so I'm good. No, it's still not good. But with Web3 is changing, because it's not only Silicon Valley, it's everywhere in the world, so many companies. So interesting. Oh, great. So and then how did you start Metalink?
So I started to become fascinated by the idea of decentralized social media. We think about cryptocurrency today being something where you own your payments, you own your currency, you have this freedom to do those things, you own your NFTs. And nobody's really yet talking, or very few people are talking about how this same technology is going to eventually be used to own your social posts, to own your followers, to own your data. And this is really fascinating to me. At Community, the mission was, how do we enable you to actually always be able to reach your fans? And we viewed the phone number as that atomic unit of identity that was so critical to kind of own, because the phone number never changes. And when I started to realize the perennial nature of the blockchain, where it's like in perpetuity, you could like literally own something, I was like, wait, maybe that is atomic as well. Whereas I don't trust, right, my followers on Facebook or Twitter, they're owned by big tech. But what if I could just own my followers myself? And so that was one trend I was noticing. The other trend I was noticing was the way these super apps were rising in Asia. And it was kind of like they understood that chat and payments, social and payments were kind of one and the same. Whereas in the US, we kind of, and in Europe as well, it's like iMessage and WhatsApp are over here and PayPal and Venmo are over there, and they're just kind of completely segregated. And so the elephant in the room is that nobody needs another chat app. But we started to believe, like, what would it look like if there was a chat app that was really built to understand the way Web3 interacts with value? Because I think Web 1 was how we interact with information. Web 2 is how we interact with each other, social media, e-commerce. Web 3, how we interact with value, is a completely new fundamental way of thinking. And it's very difficult to take a Web 2 application and say, oh, we're going to make it Web 3. That's not going to be the easiest thing to do. Some will do it successfully. But we started to think, like, what if a company like this could be built from the ground up? What would it look like? And that's sort of what inspired this desire to start Metalink.
What kind of skills are your main skills? Let's say entrepreneurial, strategy, vision, marketing, also tech development, or which kind of, to understand which kind of team Metalink has in this moment?
Well, Metalink has much more than what I have, but for me, you just said exactly what I am, except I just have to replace one word, which is, instead of tech development, business development. But I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a marketer, business development, partnerships, all that good stuff. That's what I do.
And
the vision, but I didn't even say, by the way, the vision for Metalink, in case people don't know what it is, we're out here to make the most secure and easy way to talk, track, and eventually transact NFTs.
Got it. Which is a huge problem. I saw it with my first NFT collection that we started. We say, all right, let's do something like VFriends, but let's say Italian style, something like that. 3,800 NFTs. So it's a small one, but managing on Discord is a fucking nightmare. I mean, first everyone coming in, you have to say, deactivate the direct DM, don't use DM for any reason in the universe, which sounds like crazy. I mean, I don't understand why we have arrived at this point where a very important feature you can't use. You can't use on Instagram, on Twitter. You never are you're never able to communicate on a tool that is thought to build to allow you to communicate. It's a joke. So I think it's a very important problem to solve this problem.
Yeah, we think so too. And I think that that's kind of going back to like that idea of a Web2 company. Like, why are Web3 communities using Web2 platforms? And those Web2 platforms have been around sometimes for a decade. Metalink's been around for 10 months. So we have
Yeah.
a lot of catching up to do. But with that being said, if you look at the beginning of social media, it was this very chaotic time where there was MySpace and Friendster, et cetera. And then Facebook figured out that if they could use the college university email address, it was basically going to be this hack that would allow them to scale. And obviously, as we know, they took over the world. And so we think with Web3, there's a similar thing going on where if you look at even the current ways we communicate, Discord, Twitter, it's quite chaotic. You don't really know who you're speaking to. And while the college email address verified who you were as an individual, like down to your actual first and last name, we think that first and last name may not be important, but you still in Web3 want to know who it is that you're dealing with. Who are you speaking to? And we think that the way to do that is by logging in with a wallet. So very similar to how Facebook figured out with a college email they could scale, we believe the wallet is really the key here. And the only way you can log into Metalink is by logging in with your wallet, which over 75,000 of the top NFT collectors in the world already have. And so we think that's going to really be that ticket that allows you, when you talk about that craziness that is Discord, we think connecting to your wallet is really a game changer.
Absolutely. Also, because in this way, if I chat with you and I know that you have my NFT or you have, we are in the same tribe, let's say, well, I have a different level of confidence.
Yes.
If you have a Bored Ape, I have a Bored Ape. Well, it means something already as a starting point. If I chat with Jake 345 Fire, I don't know who are you. Are you a scammer? Are you a troll? Why? I don't know. So it's a very important information to have. Question, Jake. Great idea, in my opinion, great vision. But when you started, because now I check Metalink and I see Bored Ape and you have a lot of interesting, fantastic, let's say blue chip NFT, which is not, maybe it's just a buzzword, but great NFTs. How did you bring them on board? Because it doesn't look so easy. If I launch a Metalink competitor, I can't bring them on board. So how did you do it?
That was kind of the interesting thing, right? It's like if Bored Apes or CryptoPunks were going to be like the Harvard to our Facebook or the books to our hopefully Web3 Amazon, would they be willing with a $250,000 to a multi-million-dollar asset to connect their wallets to a platform that they've never even heard of? And we built that trust. We built it over time. We built it through one-on-one relationships. We built it through kind of like gaining some momentum in the community where people were having issues with other chat platforms and started to become interested in what could be possible somewhere else on a Web3 native platform. And I think it was kind of cool at the beginning to be able to see, be an ape in this chat, a cat in that chat, a punk in this other chat, and being able to see who you're talking to. It was the first place on the internet where you could actually talk to somebody and see the NFTs they own at the same time. That had never really been done before. So I think that it all just kind of created this wave. And when people had questions, we were one with the community, whether it was on Metalink or on Twitter, we would just respond to people right away. And I think people started to build respect that we are here to build for this community. NFTs, crypto, this isn't our 20th biggest vertical. This isn't a side project for us. This is our everything. The community, you are really everything to us. And I think that that's a difference maker that we have in our corner while our product actually gets up to parity with other products that have been in the marketplace for a decade.
So you didn't build, let's say, a partnership directly with the company behiin
Great question.
CryptoPunks?
So with CryptoPunks, no. With CryptoPunks, we just went for it, right? We're like, CryptoPunks is a ticket. Larva Labs wasn't that active in the space. Right. And we didn't really know any CryptoPunks at the time either. That was the scary thing. I think it was like G Money and one other that just kind of like, all right, cool. We'll tweet it. And I'm so grateful they did because it kind of gave us the confidence like, oh, if these guys are willing to connect their wallets, we always thought if the whales were willing to connect their wallets, maybe the rest of the community would be willing to do it too. So after CryptoPunks, when we went to Bored Ape, they had seen what we had done with CryptoPunks. And then, yes, that was more of an official partnership with them and Toolcats and OpenC. But at the beginning, it was just, I'm always a believer. You just kind of go for it. And we chose to go for it. I think we had originally came up with the idea in around July, and we started to build it in August, and that was it. By September, we were off to the races and had launched the product.
Wow, fantastic. And you said OpenC, but I mean, OpenC, I don't have the NFT, the OpenC NFT.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
how do you integrate OpenC into Metalink?
Absolutely. So we worked with their head of community, a great guy named Steven Tromberg, and they were, Discord is challenging for all of us, as you mentioned. And so we realized that the fact that you knew who you were dealing with, like the wallet, and also the fact that Metalink, if you go back to August, let's say, when OpenC did 3.65 billion in revenue, just to phrase this for your listeners in a way that everybody can understand, Etsy did $1 billion in revenue that month. And Etsy was coming off a crazy time with the pandemic. They were doing great. They did $1 billion in revenue. eBay did $7 billion in revenue that month. OpenC comes out of nowhere seemingly and does 3.65 billion in revenue. The first 3,000 wallets to join Metalink made up over 350 million of the 3.65 billion in revenue. And that was about 9.12%. And that was sort of the moment where it was like, whoa, this is, these are the most valuable NFT collectors in the world. And so when we first started talking to OpenC, we're like, hey, we have your most valuable collectors already on our platform. You can speak to them here. And they were like, really? And we're like, yeah, you could see who you're talking to. So, if you're on another chat platform and someone says, hey, I just got scammed out of this, or I'm interested in you adding this feature, you don't know who that person is. You don't know how many transactions they've done. You don't know what their wallet is. Like, maybe it's a gated community, but if it's just your own, OpenC server, probably not. And so we tried to figure out a way where they could actually communicate with their community in a way where they knew who they were speaking to. And we sort of started to do some things that we thought would remove, any of the scams and things that you're seeing on Discord where you have to turn your DMs off because you're getting random DMs. And we just made it where like they could be an OpenC representative across our entire platform. So there's no question, like, is this person from OpenC? Are they not? They have an admin pill next to their name. And yeah, it was kind of an interesting experiment, I think, for them.
Very interesting. Also because then you can basically expand this approach with other companies. It become a feature. So I don't know, maybe Gucci or Nike.
Yeah.
They want
just did
to.
Something with Gucci. Yeah.
All right, got it. Okay, so, interesting. So it's very interesting because you can have that kind of offer for many companies. I'm so scared now by all of these scams. Maybe the reason is that every day I got a lot of scams on social against me, against my activity for 9 years.
Big time, Monty. Let's go.
It's crazy. No, but what I think is that, and also sometimes they are so well done that I think, wow, why don't you work for me? I would love to employ you. I don't understand that maybe the scam, I think it's me sending that message. It's incredibly well done so many times. So I wonder about security. How do you deal with security when you say you get great collectors and they have to connect their wallet every day? There is the Axie Infinity hack and every day there is something. How do you deal with that? How do you sleep at night?
When you look at the Axie Infinity hack, right, that's their blockchain getting hacked. We don't have our own blockchain yet, so that's not something we need to worry about today. But the first thing is, it's amazing how you would think that logging in with your wallet makes you so much more susceptible to getting hacked than logging in a normal way with like your email address. But the thing about logging in with your email address is we seem to oftentimes lose our passwords and they get stolen or whatever. Whereas your seed phrases typically don't get stolen unless you're idiotically putting it into some platform. And so the first thing is that you know who you're dealing with on Metalink. You just click their profile, you can see what they own. And by seeing what they own, it's like if you get a sketchy message from somebody, it's like, you can see what they own. And I think that's prevented a lot of hacks for us. Another thing though, too, is, there's a lot of things to learn from Web 2. And one of the things is you look at something like this, Discord, as you mentioned earlier with the DM situation, you say, what's wrong with it? Like, why can't they just fix this? This is ridiculous. Yeah. But then you look at Twitter and they've pretty much solved it. You get very few scam DMs on Twitter. Maybe you do, right? Because you're big time, but most people don't get that many scam DMs on Twitter. And the reason is so simple. They just built a message request folder. That was it. And so that's what we did at Metalink. We just built a message request folder from day one that you can't get into somebody's DMs unless they actually approve you. And there's the warning and everything before it gets into your DMs. And so I think that that's a big deal. And I think the third part is right now, all of our chats are gated. You do have to own some NFT in order to get into these chats. And I think that that's helped too, because you don't want to be the person that owned that NFT that like screwed over your own community. So we've been very lucky. I think our community is grateful for what we've built, and they've been very good to us. And we can, only hope that continues. Obviously, at some point, every great tech company gets hacked, but we try to minimize the chance of it as much as we can every step of the way.
I imagine the way probably to try to hack is just classic phishing, cloning, let's say, the website, and
engineering,
to find the way that I go on the website and I really, maybe there is, I don't know, a sort of drop, there is a bit of FOMO, people is clicking faster, and then you get them like that. Maybe that could be the option. Help me, Jay, to explain to my community, if I compare the features that Discord have for token holders, because also on Discord you can say, all right, I create a room only for token holders. You verify if you have my NFT, you are in that room, and that's good. What's the difference between that, using that, and using Metalink? By the way, everyone can use Discord. Not everyone can use Metalink at this stage, if it's correct.
Yeah, no, you got it perfectly right. I'd say the big difference is, we're Web3, they're Web2. And so what does that really mean? Well, Web2, they're basically have these like Discord connection bots and things that you need to like log in with. It's not as simple as you're just going to the website, logging in the first time with your wallet, and never having to connect to any server again, because we already know who you are. We know what's in your wallet. And then I think it's also being able to, when you're speaking to somebody, being able to see what NFTs are in their wallet. But the other thing long-term is that we don't know if the future Discord is going to look like Discord. It may look more like the metaverse. So we've already started to build and integrate like metaverse experiences into Metalink. We haven't rolled them out yet, but they're coming soon. And then we're also, when you hear what really our mission is, I said earlier, we want to be the most secure and easy way to talk, track, and transact NFTs. So right now we do talk mainly, and then we do some tracking stuff. So you can see like the value of your portfolio. You can follow your friends and see like an Instagram style alpha feed where you can see what your friends or top collectors are buying and selling. These are features that Discord doesn't have, probably is never going to build. And over time, this is going to get way better. We really want to be the signal to the noise. We want to be that first dominant mobile app. Our mobile app's coming out in a couple months. And we want to be that first dominant mobile app in the space where the NFT industry is growing to become a $50 billion industry. And there's still no mobile app that we all use that's built for us. And so we want to figure out, how do we make sure you don't have to be in 80 different servers to get these notifications, or actually find the server links in the first place. And you're just getting these real-time notifications about pricing updates, about announcements, making sure you don't miss a claim or miss an airdrop or anything like that. And so that's really where we want to be in the ecosystem, is helping you provide that signal to the noise, so you don't have to shift through 80 bajillion messages to figure it out. And
you said also, Jake, the other T is transact, because when you have this kind of community in there, then become very easy to say, oh, I love to get your CryptoPunks. I give you let's exchange with this one, or I buy directly instead of going. So that's become very interesting. While you were talking, Jake, the other interesting thing that I think has a huge potential for Metalink, maybe it's a stupid thinking, but the amount of knowledge that you have there is impressive, because I was checking, for instance, Proof, the one from Kevin Rose, and now they're releasing Moonburst, I think, in a couple of days. And Proof is like, 1,000 people, let's say, great collectors, great artists, people that knows a lot about Web3. But then inside Metalink, you'll have a lot of collectors that cumulative. They have an immense knowledge about NFTs, how to spot the right one before the other ones. So that's also very, very interesting for me. Yeah, it's interesting because we never marketed. We have something called MetaMint. We never really marketed it. It was like Spotify Wrapped. How they do their end of the year Wrapped campaign. They show you like the songs you listen to, all that. So we did Metalink Wrapped. And Metalink Wrap was, we didn't need all the data that Spotify's accumulated. All the data is on the blockchain. So we just took it and said, okay, Monty, this was the best NFT you bought this past year.
This was your biggest loss. This was how much gas you spent and how many Teslas you could have bought with this money. Like, it was just this kind of like cute, quirky sort of end of the year wrap up. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you were allowed to mint your year in review. And so we allowed you to mint it, but we didn't tell you what we were going to do with it. And so that group of 707 people that minted it during the time span we had it up afterwards has become a community inside of Metalink. And the good news is you don't have to spend 50 Ethereum to get it. I think it's like 0.5 or 0.6, something like that. And we give so many allow list spots, and there's so much alpha being shared within that community to each other. It's really been remarkable to see. And so I love building community. I love watching these communities rise. We have big plans for the MetaMint community this year, so it's going to be really interesting, but still super early days.
Also could become a great conference, like a Metalink Conf that, you know, is a physical conference. You would have all the greatest speakers from this community.
One day.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things. What about brands? Is this something there that you're thinking about? For instance, if Milan, you know, AC Milan, the football team. I have to interview the guys in Milan, of course. They're Italian, but they launched this NFT collection worldwide, and they'll do several things. Maybe they say, all right, how do we reach the top collectors? You know, I don't know. I mean, imagine a giant brand like that, but still, you know, in the space, what do they do? So is this something there that you think Metalink will do, will work with brands, or not yet?
So it's a great question. So there's two answers to it. One is on just the general, like setting up a space where they can communicate to their fans who own their NFT, and also like setting up like a little metaverse experience for them. That's all coming down the line. We're definitely not focused in that way on brands today, but we're open to it. We've had 3 of the top 20 brands in the world reach out to us in the past few weeks, just wanting to set up because they don't like the alternative options that exist. And so they're looking for something that's more simple and different. But I think that on the part you're talking about is, can we provide exposure to the fact that like AC Milan is coming into the space and bring them the exposure from the top collectors in the space, because these new collections, they want the top collectors, and the top collectors want that access, that early access to those new collections. So we actually did do that. Back in December, when we started to realize how crazy the numbers were in terms of the number of collectors on Metalink and how much actual revenue that they were creating on the marketplaces, we realized that it was a very influential group of people. And it was important for everybody that they got into collections, because in some ways people could say, well, you know, do these people need any more NFTs? They've already got early access on enough. But these people, oftentimes they hold a little bit longer. And as a result, they create that sort of supply crunch that increases the value of the NFT typically. So these people are very important for everybody to sometimes have it in the collection. And so what we did was our first collection we partnered with was called Cool Man's Universe. So Cool Man's Universe, my friend Cool Man Coffee Dan, he's got about 10 million followers on social media, and he was launching his NFT collection. He had a great following already. And we said, okay, you know, what if we can get all these top collectors excited about your collection? Like, what would that look like? And how can we work together to make it happen? And so we set up what we call a launch pad, very similar to the way like Binance would do their launch pad, or CoinList would kind of, you know, let people on their, like, get ICOs early. It was kind of like that, right? You were sort of putting yourself forward with a one-click entry into a raffle that would give you that early access and get an allow list spot for that collection. So now it's like, you know, that collection, I think, minted at like 0.095, and that was back December 21st. Now it's done over $70 million in secondary sales. The floor price right now is about 1 ETH. It fluctuates anywhere from 1 to 2.5 ETH. And has a lot more great things to come with it. I really believe a lot in Danny and what those guys are creating. And so if we really believe in what the project's creating, we really got to believe it's going to have that 10, 20, 30x return for our community. If we really believe that, we can put it through that launch pad, which actually runs its contest through Chainlink. So it's an on-chain giveaway, and you know, you can enter to win. And we've done that for Cool Pets and Dead Friends and a bunch of other collections as well.
Wow, that's really cool. I was also thinking, while you speak, I got millions of ideas running. No, but I mean, another thing, obvious thing, are all celebrities. Today we did a collab with Stallone. Sylvester Stallone is launching his NFT, and I think how many celebrities, I mean, will launch their own NFTs, and they will have the same kind of problem. And maybe you want, I don't know, Barack Obama NFT. I don't know. Or maybe there is, you know, a new utility NFT from Ronaldo that you have access to a tournament with him and you play with Ronaldo. I mean, or Elon Musk launches NFT. Imagine these kind of people. Of course, they can launch it by themselves, but, you know, having the exposure to the right kind of community, I think is invaluable. The only thing I would complain, Jake, with you about Metalink, I was thinking I have to say something bad, you know, like otherwise I'm a big fan. No, I have nothing to complain about. But I was thinking that if you are not a holder, my experience with Metalink is very limited, of course. So I say, wow, I see the vision. I love it as the potential. Not holding, you know, a Bored Ape or something like that, you don't have like much to do. That's probably the only thing that I would try to think about. I don't know if you are in your roadmap have some activity for non-token holders that can, you know, start to get some kind of feeling of what's going on inside, and then maybe there is a bit of inclusion there, something like that. Maybe stupid or maybe not.
No. I think it's smart. I think, you know, opening up public channels is definitely something that we aspire to later this year. But, you know, I think that it'll take time for us. We want to make sure we're doing it right and that we're protecting the community. And so it is something that we need to do because, to your point, it's kind of limited. The other thing is, you know, right now people think about us as a chat product. And I think that really where we evolve to over the next 6 months is almost like if Discord for NFTs and Robinhood for NFTs had a baby. And so the whole tracking component right now, it's like you can log in Metalink right now, follow your friends, see what they're buying and selling. You can actually get a view of your portfolio and actually see what the value of your portfolio is currently on the floor. We're rolling out highest trade floor soon. Eventually, it'll get to the point where it's like you'll be able to see, you know, a bunch of information about your NFT before you go and click sell, and then be able to sell on OpenC, Nifty, Coinbase, wherever you Luxrate, wherever you want, all via Metalink. And so I think that there's going to be lots of things beyond chat as well. We really want to be the place where you're tracking your NFTs as well. So I think it's super early days. And real quick, I want to comment on the celebrity comment real quick. In a utopia, we'd love to help celebrities. But the challenge is if you look at the beginning of the social media era, celebrities were not active on social media. It was their teams posting for them. And that's sort of where we're at with NFTs today, right? It's like they want to do it. For most of them, it's kind of like a cash grab. They don't actually know how to build community. They're not really committed to it. And that's, you know, for me as a DGen, right, as a Web3 native creator, I can't get behind that. And so it's going to take time. You know, it needs to be, I know there's a few celebrities, I think like Sia, for example, I think is somebody that's like really entering the space in a super organic way. She's a proper DGen, you know, she'll show up to your house in like a giant dress with all her NFTs on it. And she really means business, like in terms of she loves this space. She's a real artist. She's a real collector. She's a real creator. She's taken the time and her team are going to do it right. But very, very few artists care about the space that much. They don't want to learn. And that's not to judge them because there are artists that do want to do it. There are celebrities that do want to do it right. But it's just few and far between. Most of them, for them, it's like if they can have their Bored Ape and have as their profile picture and launch an NFT collection, that's good enough for them. And we're not really interested today in really partnering with that audience because that audience is not our audience. Our community is the Web3 community. And we believe that community is going to continue to grow the same way social media communities continue to grow. And so we're interested in partnering with projects that are really native to the ecosystem and to the space. We think it's important.
That's a good point. The paradox is that often the B-level celebrities are the ones that care the most about their community because they have less, success, less money. So they really, really commit to do something. What about the business model? Is something that will be VC funded, a token out there, or how do you see it?
So we raised around last year. And we definitely aspire to give as much of ourselves as we can to the community over time. We even let our community invest in us in the last round. We'll surely do that again in the next round too. And we have a bunch of different revenue models. You know, we're going to be partnering with collections. We're going to be rolling out a trading functionality that would allow people to like trade, my Bored Ape plus some Ethereum for your CryptoPunk or vice versa. And we'll have a model that's tied to that as well. As we provide that service. But really what we're excited about right now is actually launching our own NFT collections for our community. We've partnered with an artist or two that we think are doing something really interesting. I don't want to put out another animal project or no, that's just not me. Like I like to do things that are different and relevant. And so I'm really excited. The first project we're doing is a project called U Club. And we haven't really formally announced what it is yet, but I think it's going to be really special. So I'm excited. I work with an amazing artist named Paper Diamond on that. And so, we want to build cool projects for the community and think that that's one way to do it. And it's obviously a revenue model in the process as well.
Fantastic. So what's next for Metalink? Do you have any spicy, interesting thing coming out in this 12 months? The NFT, I imagine, will come out. Is there any specific activity that you focus on in this moment?
We're really focused on mobile. We want to build an amazing mobile app. We've already built most of it, but we want to roll it out in a really big way. So we're planning to get really active around that. And then also, the collection. If anyone's interested, by the way, in the collection, we took obviously a no Discord approach. We've been building like a Twitter community while we gear up. So if anybody's listening to this and they're like, wait, that sounds interesting. What's interesting about it, I guess we haven't formally announced it, but what's interesting about the collection is, you think about minting an NFT and you get rarity traits, right? You get a hat and the glasses and this and that, but it doesn't always look like you. And so what we're doing is those traits of like the hat and the glasses, you can't change those, but you could change the facial hair. You could change the skin color. You can make it look like you at any time, not just on the mint, but in the secondary sales as well. And so I think that's going to be a really interesting, where you can, for the first time, like customize yourself on the blockchain. I think it's going to be kind of a really cool collection that plays to like the artistic creativity. So if you're a builder or a creator in the space, we're really trying to make it a really creative group. It's great to obviously have Web3 gens in there, but it's also about like, who are people that aren't in the space yet that are really great creatives that are coming into the space, and how do they get the chance to be early on something? And this is really your chance to be early on something. So if you're interested in it, it's just like a private Twitter community right now, but just DM me on Twitter and I'll welcome you in. Let's
interesting. Jake, final topic. I'm really curious about it. On a macro level, what do you see in NFT land in the next, let's say, 12 months or until the end of the year? There is this Coinbase marketplace. People say, when is coming Coinbase marketplace? And there is a Ethereum merge. So
I know they're trying to build the best product that they can, and they want it to be right. But it's been next month for several months, and they know that, obviously.
Yeah. And then there is this Ethereum merge that would, change maybe the ecosystem. But what do you see NFT world going in the next few months?
Well, there's some things that I don't know, and there's one thing that I do know. So there's many things I don't know. One of the things I don't know is whether NFTs today are priced too high or too low. I just don't know. But one of the things I know for certain is that digital asset ownership is going to continue to increase in value, and continue to increase in general, right? And so you look at this, in the last 2 months, the two biggest gaming funds that have ever been raised in the history of gaming have been raised. And those funds, which are about billion-dollar funds, they're investing over 50% of their funds into blockchain gaming. And so it's sort of this moment in time where there's no doubt that NFTs are going to take hold. I don't know if it'll be the term NFTs the same way MP3 didn't become the term for digital streaming. It may change and evolve. The names may change, but there's no doubt that digital asset ownership is going to increase. And if you're listening to this podcast, if you follow Monty, if you follow me, you are early. This is very early. And so I think it's going to be really exciting to see how that continues to take hold as more and more people get into the space, which they will, as it becomes, if you think of I'll give you one other example, Monty. Think about how difficult it is today to buy an NFT. Getting your money off the exchange, downloading MetaMask, getting the MetaMask, all this stuff is really complicated. But a few years ago, you had to run your own node to execute some sort of transaction like this. So it's really gotten a lot better. It will continue to get better. We haven't seen the AOL.com, or I guess AOL, or the browser of the space yet, but they're definitely coming. And tokens are the new websites, as Chris Dixon says. So we're going to see them programmed in all sorts of different ways. And I think that we're going to see a lot of creativity unleashed toward the end of this year, because we've had all these projects, all this speculation, and now it's kind of that time where the rubber needs to meet the pavement, and we're going to start seeing these collections actually developing ecosystems that create all sorts of new things. The way Apes did the token, we're going to see the metaverse come. It's going to be just really exciting innovation left, right, and center, and no one really knows what to expect. But it took decades for the concept of the iPhone to actually be what it is. Like, there's plenty of phones that came before it, but it wasn't until we all knew how to work the internet, work the phone, work the camera, that Steve Jobs took those things and just put it in our pocket. And we don't know where we're at on that spectrum today, but the innovation is happening really fast, faster than I'm even talking.
To confirm your point, Jake, today was announced the round of Epic Games, $2 billion. I think Lego was in it, and a movie, Coinbase movie about Bored Ape. I mean, it's incredible how
every day.
Fantastic, Jake. Good luck so much for.
Thank you so much, Monty.
It was such a pleasure, and
appreciate you so much.
Talk to you soon.
See you in the Metalink.